This is part 6 of our water gun series where we learn to make a water gun using a dial caliper. In this video, we're going to learn how to make this sucking piece and this elbow piece. Now, the first thing I want to make, if we go back to my little demo here, first thing I want to make is this sucking piece. And actually, if I open up my analysis and turn on my section view, you can actually see the outline of this shape that I'm going to sketch out and revolve. And so let's go ahead and get started. Let's start by turning off, making sure the cylinder, the stopper, and the trigger are all invisible. And let's start a sketch on this right plane here. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit slice. And I want to start by grabbing my line tool and creating a center line. And I'm just going to draw a vertical line straight down the middle. Right click OK. And then I want this to be centered, so let me just project something. Let me hit P on my keyboard, and I'll just project this random line here and hit OK. And then I'm going to grab a point, and I'll just find the center of this, right click OK, and I'll tell my center line to be coincident with that center point, and right click OK. And so now I just need to give it a height and a sort of location. Now, when I revolve this, I want it to be lower than the reservoir, the bottom of this reservoir here. And so I don't want it to be higher than this here. And so how can I make sure that it's always lower? Well, I'm going to hit P for project, and I'm going to project this little face right here and hit OK. And I really just wanted this point projected here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dimension from this point to this point and drag it out to the right. And I'm just going to give it some small number like 0.01 so that I know that it's always below this edge here. I'm going to right click cancel, and I can just drag this off to the left now and out of the way. All right. And so the next thing is I need to decide how tall this is going to be. And so let me go ahead and just measure this piece right here. And it looks like it is about 0.89 tall. So I'm going to grab my dimension tool, and I'm going to tell it to be 0.89. Right click cancel. And then from here, I can just start sketching out this outline. So let me grab my line tool and make sure that center line and construction are not selected. And I'm just going to drag to the right. And I'll go up some small distance, and I'll go at an angle here. And I'll go up a little bit more and then draw my lip. And then once I come back, I'll just go down and just sort of redraw the outline offset a bit, and then just make sure, I don't want it centered. I want to make sure I don't hit that center point, but I want it to hit this line vertically. And right click OK. And now I just need to add the dimensions to the shape, right? Well, actually, let me real quick. I want this to be the same height as this. So let me click this point and tell it to be horizontal with this point. And right click OK. All right, so now we just need to put in our dimensions. And let's start with this edge right here. So this edge would represent this edge, which is the inner circle of the bottom. And so we can measure that real quick. So what is the diameter of the inner circle at the bottom here? And it looks like it's about 0.09. And so I'll grab my dimension tool and go from this line to the center and drag it down and type in 0.09. And then what about the outside? So if I measure the bottom outside diameter, I get about 0.15, almost exactly. So if I go from the outside to the center, I can type in 0.15. Okay, right click cancel. Now I can adjust this a little bit. What about this inner circle here? And actually, I don't want to get this dimension yet. Let's leave this one alone because I actually want to edit this a little bit, and I'll explain that later. Let's do this outer diameter right here. So that is going to be the diameter of this part right below the lip. And what is that? That is about 0.285. So I grab my dimension tool and I go from here to the center line, and that will be 0.285. How's this looking? Right click cancel. It's looking pretty good. We do want this to be a little bit bigger. We don't know how tall this is going to be on the inside, but we can figure out how tall this is and of course how wide and how tall this lip is. Let's start by getting the width of the lip though. So how wide is our lip? I get 0.325. Grab my dimension tool, and from here to the center is 0.325. How's this looking? And then how tall is this lip? It is 0.055. And so its height is 0.55. Sorry, 0.055. I can actually get the height of this line right here too, now that I think about it. So what is that height? Here, from there to there, it is 0.55. Grab my dimension tool, and this will be 0.55. And right click cancel. So we can't really know the height of this part or this part. But we actually don't need to know them. We just need to know what their jobs are, if you think about it. And so actually, I think I don't want this to be perpendicular. I'm going to go ahead and delete this perpendicular constraint right here because I want it to be at a slight angle so that it becomes a compression fit around this. And then I need to figure out what this diameter is here on the inside. So what is this diameter? It looks like it is about 0.255. So if we go from there, from this point to this center line, I can type in 0.255. And so what is this going to do? Right click cancel. Well, it's going to start sliding on very easily, but then as it goes down, it's going to get more and more compressed so that it holds on as it slides on. This is actually pretty good. I can't know the rest of these dimensions very well. At least I can't easily figure out the rest of these dimensions. But if you think about it, this is actually good enough because this is sort of conceptually how it works. If I finish my sketch and I revolve this around this axis and I change this from a cut to a new component, hit OK, I can change this new component's name to sucker. And we can look at it from the inside by turning on our sectional analysis. And you can kind of see how it's supposed to work. Now, actually, I look at this, and this doesn't make much sense right here. I can fix that, though. Let me go back into that last sketch. And I do want this to be below that point right there, below that corner. And finish my sketch, and this looks much better. All right, and so now you can see that that seal cannot fall through. It's kind of stuck in between this extrusion and this narrow hole at the bottom of this sucking piece. I'm going to revert my position. Now, the elbow piece on top is a lot easier to make. Let me turn off my sectional analysis. And I actually want to build it as if it's already on top. If we look at it from our camera, you can see how it's already on here. It's slightly raised above the top of this, and so that's actually really easy to do. I'm just going to make an offset plane, and I'm going to drag it down until I'm almost to this edge here. And you can see I don't quite hit the edge here, so that negative 0.25 is probably a good distance for me. And I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to start a sketch on this plane. And let's go ahead and turn everything else off. Actually, let me keep my reservoir on for just a second. I want to hit P on my keyboard to project one of these circles, and then I can turn that reservoir off. And I'm going to draw a circle here. And how big is this circle going to be? What's going to be the width of this outer lip of the bottom of this elbow piece? Oops, I need to get that off. And how wide is this bottom lip of my elbow piece? It looks like it's about 0.32. So I'm going to grab my dimension tool and I'm going to tell this to be 0.32. And I'm going to finish my sketch. And I'm going to extrude. And how far up does this lip go? Take this off, I can look at it. It goes up about 0.065. Okay. So we'll go up 0.065. And then from there, I can start another sketch. Grab my circle tool. And how big is this next circle going to be? Right above the lip here, I get about 0.265. Okay. And what about at the top? Is it loft or is it the same size? And no, at the tip top, it looks like it's about the same size, about 0.265, 27. So it looks like it's just a plain extrusion, which is nice because that makes my life a little bit easier. Let's just call this 0.265. Finish my sketch, and I'm going to extrude this straight up. And how tall does it go? About 0.385 tall. And so we'll type in 0.385. And then, what have we got left on this? We just got this little circle extruding out of the front. That's pretty easy. I'll just make a tangent work plane. Select the front of this face. Let me make sure I'm pointing the right direction. Let me turn on some other pieces real quick. And yeah, this is the front. Okay. Hit OK. And let me start a sketch on this work plane. I'll go ahead and turn these back off because I don't need them anymore. And I want to project this top line. Hit OK. So I can draw a circle and tell it to be tangent with the top there. And I'll also go ahead and tell it to line up with the origin with my horizontal vertical constraint. And then how big is this circle supposed to be? Well, just check the diameter of this small circle here. And I get 0.18 about. So let's give this a diameter of 0.18. Finish my sketch. And if we look at it, it looks like it extrudes into the shape, but it also extrudes out. How far out does it go here? Far out does it go? It looks like it goes about 0.25 out. Okay, so finish our sketch. We'll extrude. Let's first go into the shape. We'll just tell it to be a join and then just say to go to object and click on this object and hit OK. And then I can just hit extrude again and we can come out 0.25. And there we go. It's looking really good. The next thing is just, well, how thick is it? Because it has a shell, it's hollow and empty on the inside. Looks like its shell is about 0.035. So grab our shell tool and click on this face and the bottom face and tell it to be 0.035. And it looks like it went ahead and shelled out this lip as well. We can fix that with just the extrude feature and tell it to go to this face. Hit OK. And we're done with this part. If I make everything else visible, it looks like I forgot to make this a new component. When I extruded it, it made it a new body. I'm going to go ahead and fix that. I'll open up my body as I right click and create component from body. And then I'll change the name of this piece to elbow. And let me hit A on my keyboard for my appearances tab and let me make both of these components the same material as my reservoir. And I think this is a good place to stop this video. In the next video, we'll put constraints down on these parts and show you some motion links to kind of hopefully explain how the water gun system actually works, how water only comes in one end and only goes out the other end.